Bill, if you're there, the 911 call timeline, matching that up with the actions of those 19 officers, that is key.
Kaylee, that was a stunning press conference. We essentially learned that from the moment police first entered the school to the moment the shooter was killed, that spanned an hour and 16 minutes. We got word that there were phone calls coming in from inside of the school, 911 calls from teachers, from students saying, please help us. One teacher saying there are 8 to 9 children alive in the classroom. And we just heard the Texas DPS director strongly criticize the decision by the local school police chief, the school district police chief here in Uvalde, calling his decision the wrong decision and that there is no excuse for it to not breach that room. He said that commander decided to treat this as a barricade situation rather than an active shooter situation. In hindsight, they now know there were children in that classroom potentially still alive who needed help. There were 911 calls coming from inside the school as gunshots were still ringing out, while there were 19 police officers in the hallway waiting for a tactical team to arrive. Take a listen to some of that criticism from the Texas DPS director.
No excuse for that. But again, I wasn't there, but I'm just telling you, from what we know, we believe there should have been an entry at that.
And again, the DPS director, Stephen McGraw, he got emotional talking about all of this. We then found out that the way the shooter was able to get into the school is because a teacher propped a door open, and that's how he was able to get in. We learned that the initial timeline we were given was off as well. Keep in mind, they initially said that the shooter got into the school at 11:40 a.m. Now that time has changed to 11:33 a.m. So you consider he crashed his car at 11:28, so it didn't take him 12 minutes to get into the school. It took him 5 minutes instead, and we were told hauntingly that he essentially got into that classroom and for several minutes had free reign, firing hundreds of rounds before any officers arrived. We're told he got into the classroom at 11:33, and the first officers did not arrive until 11:35. That was a group of 7 police officers who approached the door, were shot at, fell back. A couple of them were injured. They fall back. They call for help. They wait in the hallway, and they keep their guns on the door, and they begin to treat it as a barricade rather than an active shooter. Apparently, that 40-minute chunk of time goes by. BORTAC arrives at 12:15. Then they report that at 12:16, they get a 911 call from a teacher saying there are still 8 to 9 students alive inside. Please help. So, I mean, I'm trying to read through all my notes here. This was just a stunning press conference. We also learned that there was a digital footprint. He was apparently on Instagram group chats with other people talking about buying guns. They alluded that he made an Instagram post, I believe they said, on May 14th, 10 days before the shooting. He said 10 more days. So apparently he was in communication with people about buying guns, about threats. He apparently asked his sister last year to help him purchase a gun. She said no. But wow, I mean, just going through all these notes, and to hear the DPS director strongly criticize the actions of the local police here, and I think it says volumes. Why is the school police chief not here at that press conference to take questions from the media as well? So to wrap it up in a nutshell, got in through an open prop door, shouldn't have happened. Police waited a long time, over an hour essentially, to call for a tactical team while children were still needing help inside. Go ahead.
No, Bill, continue.
Oh, sorry, I thought I heard you guys say something. So, yeah, I mean, looking at the timeline here, from the moment he was first encountered by police in that school until the moment he was killed, that is an hour and 16 minutes. And you heard DPS say they teach active shooter doctrine here in Texas, that when there's an active shooter, you go in, you go directly to that threat, and you neutralize it as fast as possible. Unfortunately, that didn't happen here. And He is calling that decision a bad decision in hindsight, an inexcusable decision, and essentially this comes down to the fact that the on-scene commander, who we are told is the Uvalde School District Police Chief, decided that this was going to be a barricade situation rather than an active shooter situation. He believed it had transitioned into somebody locked inside the class, didn't know if the kids were alive or not, and they had to call in the tactical team. But we now know the new information. There were still calls coming from inside the school. There were still gunshots going off, and there were 19 officers waiting in the hallway for that tactical team to make the breach, which did not happen until 12:50. So just to give you that perspective again, he enters the school at 11:33. He's not killed until 12:50. And between 11:33 and 11:35-ish, we're told, is when he fires hundreds of shots in that classroom, and it appears that's when the majority of the damage was done. We'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Bill.